Hi, I'm Tanya, and this is Transformative Joy, a different kind of tarot, where I am reading cards not to predict the future, but to have fun with you, and to seek messages of encouragement, things that we need to remember along the way, and just to give us a space where we can come and feel nourished every day. Unfortunately for you, or me, I don't have a very large wardrobe, so you're going to get used to seeing what my favorite things are to wear. So you'll have already seen some of my stuff. Anyhow, it's not important though, right? What's really important? Important things are what kind of person you are, right? I could care less about if you have brand name stuff or if you're like dressed to the nines. What's really important is how you treat people, especially how you treat people that can't get you anywhere. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Okay. So, what do you have for us on this day? What do you have for us? All right. Bottom three. Spiritual strength. Financial and material changes. And new beginnings. Sweet. Sweet. Awesome. You know, there are some of us, especially if you've been working on yourself for a while, there are, you probably noticed a lot of changes in yourself. I know I, for one, don't look like the same person I was a year ago or 2 years ago or even 15 years ago. You know, you should always be changing, right? Change is good. Now, I am a Taurus sun. My moon is in Aquarius, so I've got like 2 fixed signs going on there in the big 3. But I do like change and I like growth. To grow, you know, if you don't grow, you're dying, right? Alright, so tell me what is with this? The new changes, strength. What do we need to know about that? Okay. Alright. Let's see. What do we need to know about that? 4 of Wands. Page of Cups. 6 of Pentacles. Eight of Swords and Queen of Cups. All right, so a lot of us have been through a lot of emotional growth and development. We faced a lot of surprises along the way, right? We've had a lot of moments there of feeling trapped in that fear, trapped in bad situations, and that might be where you feel like you are right now, right? But you can always change, right? And by change, I know I talk a lot about what's going on in the external world, what's going on, you know, the transfer, because it's really hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore how much change is happening, you know, in technology, science, politically, right? There's a lot of change occurring, and this change and this in our world right now, it can be unsettling, and at times it can be painful, and you know, but you got to go through that change to come with something new. All right, it's the difficult times that bring you to that place of maturity. It's the difficult times where you grow And if you know, assuming you don't bury your head in the sand, where you acknowledge and accept where you're at, what you're going through, and allow that spiritual strength to develop. Because you know, most people aren't just born coming out of the womb quoting Gandhi and Buddha, Martin Luther King. You know, that's usually not how it works, right? It's a process. There are a lot of surprises, right? A lot of surprises, a lot of bad moments, right? But the scales will balance. Scales will balance, and stability comes eventually. It's just the process of life. If you don't bury your head in the sand and ignore the issues you need to face, that's where you come here to, like, honestly, I feel like the Queen of Cups is a very spiritually mature and strong card. She's learned what her boundaries are. She has learned what's important to her, and she protects it. Right? She guards it. She's connected to that intuition. You know, she's sitting right at the beach, right? And you know, she is the only cup that has a lid on it, because she knows how to protect herself. And it can be really hard when you're going through all these difficult times to figure out how to protect yourself, right? It's something that you learn through trial and error. A lot of times, wisdom, I mean, there is something to be said for listening to people who are wise, more wise than you are. And that in itself is a form of wisdom. But some of that, you just have to go through it and experience it to come out the other side. Okay, so let's see, what else do you have? This one? Yeah, this one. Okay. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out which one was the right deck. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about the Six of Pentacles energy and the Four of Wands. Talk to us about that. What is it we most need to hear at this moment? Okay. Let's see. Ace of Cups. Ace of Coins. The Moon. And let's see. The King of Swords. It takes a balance of being honest and having that foundation of truth with your intuition. When you're going through hard times, it can be incredibly difficult sometimes to listen to that emotion, to listen to that intuition that's speaking. It feels a little, it can be hard to see, right? The Moon, we've got, you know, it's dark. If you can see the moon, I mean, sometimes you can see the moon in the middle of the day, but generally speaking, at night, it is a little bit more challenging to see. You have a little bit of illumination, but not a lot. And that's where you have to depend on walking strongly and firmly in that truth. There is a clarity of your values. It comes with being clear what your values are and clear what your emotional boundaries are. Thinking of that Queen of Cups there. Your emotional boundaries. figuring all that out isn't easy, and it takes a lot of like a lot of deep reflection. And I know because I've done it, and I continue to do it, because as we evolve, sometimes things change. You know, again, this isn't like getting your heart transplant. When you get a heart transplant, man, you get a heart transplant, and your heart's gone. Like it's done. Like, you don't get a heart transplant every day. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, it's not something you keep doing necessarily, you know, in this and kind of weak analogy. But you got to brush your teeth every day. You got to shower every day. You need to eat every day, right? Those things you have to do on a consistent basis. And it's that consistency and stability, right? Sometimes we think that, you know, we look at the Six of Pentacles, it can sometimes be seen as, you know, charity or giving, but it's also about finding balance. And here with the Four of Wands, we come to a point, once you take time to identify what really is important to you, that's getting that clarity. Getting the clarity of what is important to you. What are your values? What are your, you know, what are your physical and emotional values? What makes you go, so to speak? What gives you that, you know, impetus to be in the world, right? You know, I went through a period of time where I actually sat down and I asked myself some hard questions and really put a lot of thought into it. It's like, what do I really value? What's important to me? And I started thinking about all the things that were important to me. I was like, well, why is that important to me? And I just kept asking myself these questions until I distilled it down into, like, these are my core values. And when you understand, when you have real clarity on what your core values are, it's a lot easier to move about in the world. Things become a lot more clear to you, right? Things become more clear. All right. Are we done? Let's see. 2 more cards. So getting that clarity, defining your values. And I know that sounds like, well, of course I know what my values are. Maybe you do, right? Maybe you do. But do you know how your personal values impact how you act, the decisions you make, right? What's more important to you? What's the most important thing to you? I know that helps build that spiritual strength. Having an understanding of who you are helps build that spiritual strength. It gives you that, it's like the lighthouse on the shore. When you're lost at sea and things are difficult, if you know what your core values are, if you are firm and clear on what's important to you, can help you navigate your way. And right now things are not clear, right? We are in the middle of ending, but we're in the middle of beginning too. I know, we're in the middle of beginning. But you know, when things are collapsing, that's the perfect time to create what you actually want. I don't know about you, but I don't want a world filled with billionaires who don't give a crap about children and hunger and the environment. Like, that's not what I want. I don't want to live in a world where racists rule. That's just not what I want. All right. Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts? Okay, so if you don't know, if you can't easily say, these are my top 3 values, then you got to do a little thinking. Take time, just pause. It's worth it. Trust me, it's worth it. Pause. And it's not something you figure out in an hour. honestly, even if you have a good idea of what mostly your values are and you kind of have the gist of it, it's not like, I'm not suggesting that we don't know who we are or that you don't know who you are. I knew who I was, but I needed to have that clear definition so I could say, you know what, this is what I stand for. All right, Hanged Man, taking time to get a little perspective. The Eight of Pentacles. And the Three of Swords. So that Eight of Pentacles, that time that you spend kind of examining yourself and saying, okay, what's important to me? And not just, I should say, it's not just what's important to me and what are my values, but am I living my values? That's the key. Have I mastered living in my values? And if not, what do I need to do? Right? This Three of Swords, honestly, that's the heartache that comes from when you are out of balance. When, in this case, when you have values, but you're not living according to them. So stop and ask yourself, okay, what are my values? And are my actions right now? Am I living up to what I think is right and true and just? That's a tough one. This wasn't like a fluffy reading today. And, maybe it can make some people mad. I don't know. I don't know who'd get mad about that. But honestly, doing the right thing isn't always easy. But you know what? When you stand back and you go, I did the right thing. And I was living up to my values. And when that's in balance, life gets a whole lot more clear. All right. So I've been thinking about today's challenge or suggestion or whatever. I've been thinking about it because I like to pick things that either everyone can do, or it's like yoga. Like, oh, if you can't do the eagle with your, or whatever it might be. If you can't do that all the way, then here's a block, here's a strap, here's a pillow, do this modified pose. So I want to give you things that if you can't do it, you can modify it. And it is a little bit light compared to the reading we've had. But we need a balance in everything. Like, we need a balance in all things. I've already encouraged you to go listen to your favorite song. So now I'm going to encourage you to let loose. Pick your favorite dance song, the song that just, oh my God, you hear it and it's hard to sit down kind of song. I want you to turn it on. If you need to be alone to do this, fine. My family knows me, so clearly they do. They're my family. But they're used to me is what I mean. And I do this all the time. I have for a while. I started back in November of last year, 2024, as a way to just get in touch with who I am and to experience a little bit of joy every day. And it works. It's great. So turn on that music. If the people around you don't bother you, then just go for it. If you need to be alone, find some place to be alone, but turn on that music and dance. Just dance like you don't care what anyone thinks, right? Just dance. Like, if you actually know how to dance, then dance. But if, you're kind of like me and yeah, some things, but you're not others. Sometimes the fact that I can dance and know I'm ridiculous when I'm dancing is actually a lot of fun, because it's like breaking the rules and going, I'm doing my own thing. Aquarius moon. But yeah, just dance. Enjoy yourself. And if you do have mobility chances, then you know what your limits are. I don't want you to ever do anything that's outside of what you can do. I don't want you to hurt yourself. I don't want you to ever end up, because I know what it's like to try to do something, and as little of an activity as that might seem to others, for you it's major, and that's legit. So you be compassionate with yourself, but even if it's just kind of like in the bed, just kind of like, do it, right? Allow yourself to just get lost in the beat, because there's something about music and there's something about dance that is so freeing. When I have some of the most challenging days at work, I go into the kitchen, I turn on, okay, I don't always use Santana, but a lot of times it's Santana, and I turn Breaking Down the Door, and then Me Retiro, and that I put those two up front, and then I just let the rest be shuffle, and I just dance my heart out, and it gets rid of the stress. It helps clear my mind. If I was mentally fatigued, suddenly I feel a lot better, and I encourage you to try it. All right, I hope that y'all have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you again.